Hello and welcome back to the Roundup, where we have got, well, new rumours of Blizzard's mobile drive that I think are from a very authoritative source. We've got big acquisitions. Discord might actually change, which is, maybe a bit spooky for us users. And so much more. Stadia are being, as ever, a bit try-hard. Avengers is trying. There's further Blizzard closures, and Valve giving the big nope to a game. First, though, if it fails, then try again. And again. And again. And then, open a new studio. You know, we could really rebrand this Roundup episode as Journey to the Money Hole because, big companies love draining their bank accounts. Amazon, off the back of the incredible success of their games thus far, is actually starting a new AAA studio in Montreal. Following all that runaway success. It's easy to be a little bit of a dick about this one, to be honest. Now, there is an interesting angle to this, which is that they managed to grab a whole bunch of, top talent behind Rainbow Six Siege. Those are the people who are really spearheading this new studio, so that is some serious FPS talent. It's people who have shipped games who can make awesome stuff. Let's just hope that Amazon actually listens to them, because if you don't remember, reportedly Amazon were quite amazing and renowned for grabbing incredible stuff, only to, heuristically, just not listen to them. Now, if you want to get epic skills that demand attention, that demand people listening to you, Skillshare, today's sponsor, is where to get it, and it's where the first 1,000 people to follow my link in that description will get a free trial. That is twice as long, pretty awesome, and it's just $10 a month after that. And look, you know that Skillshare is packed with thousands of incredible classes across so much, like design, writing, illustration, productivity, and so much more. But today, I've got a duo from DKNG. And honestly, it was the cover art from 3D illustration, creating isometric designs in Illustrator, that was just so eye-catching that I had to try it out. And, just look at the student projects for it, too. Awesome stuff comes out of this class. So, bunch of fun, bunch of new skills, and hireable skills, too. Then they've got their productivity for designers that I think is a perfect follow-up, purely just because it's always awesome to just go learn how the pros get their stuff done. So Skillshare is the place where you can get that, and so much more across photography, writing, productivity, many other things, and you can check it all out for free with our trial that is twice as long as the other trials that you can get. So hit up that link down below. A big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring, and with that said, let's get right back into the news. Well, my fellow gamers, get out your phones because new rumors, courtesy of Richard Lewis, suggest that Blizzard have, an Overwatch mobile title in the works, alongside, of course, the mainline Overwatch 2. Now, Richard says that he's got it on good authority, and to be honest with you, thinking about the circles that he would have, I really would say so. He's got it on good authority that there is a mobile Overwatch. Now, Richard said that prior to the pandemic, at least, Blizzard's intent was to have Overwatch Mobile release alongside Overwatch 2, with the plan basically being to have the mobile announcement happen during Overwatch 2's launch hype cycle, right? So basically piggybacking off it. Though, of course, that is something that likely has changed given pandemic delays. And certainly if you were going to announce a mobile Overwatch, doing it, instead of standalone, but doing it as a part of an overall marketing campaign for the game that people actually know they want, in many cases, that would obviously be the move to make. I think this is a solid rumor. I think it makes a lot of sense. I actually do believe this to be the case myself. Activision Blizzard, we know, have a big interest in the mobile gaming space, and Blizzard's IP could certainly draw a big old audience in mobile. It already did with Hearthstone, but for other things like COD Mobile, that showed that a big Western AAA shooter can work in mobile. COD Mobile is shockingly good for what it is. And then you've got Diablo Immortal. Look, we all memed it, we all clowned on it, but it's actually tested quite well with audiences. And of course, it's an ARPG. That's a proven genre in mobile. So all these things naturally fit for Blizz. For actual dates here, though, Overwatch 2 doesn't have a release date, and the pandemic has probably set this back a bit, so who the hell knows when it will come out. But expect Activision Blizzard to pump out the mobile games. I mean, we know there's a Warcraft 1 on the way. There was heavy rumors that Warcraft was doing a Pokemon Go-like game. And look, Warcraft is their highest earning franchise, so I would expect any Warcraft mobile stuff to be pretty big. I mean, not that I'm particularly excited, because it's just not the format that I want to play games on, but there you go. That's what they're doing. Sticking with Blizzard then, well, we've got Blizz EU news because more layoffs. Yep, the 190, that was not all. According to GameIndustry.biz's sources, they have entered consultancy in preparation for the EU layoff wave. Now, this essentially is just a further stage of the news that we kind of already knew, right? Like, we knew that there was a bunch of layoffs at that studio and job changes and stuff like that. Of course, that's, you know, the 800 that we talked about ages and ages ago. But the continued story there has been the planned closure of that office, right? Not just the downsizing we already knew about, but the closure. And that's basically what's going on here. I mean, it seems like maybe a slight stay of execution was granted, but overall, they're prepping to axe all of that stuff. And honestly, this is just really quite sad. From what we understand, a few of those functions are going to be centralized in like an Activision Blizzard like London office. There was a bunch of rumors about that, so that's likely what will go down. And I've got to say, like, the Blizz EU people that I have worked with via our Warcraft channel, they've always been great. And it is just a situation where, as times went on, we've all just noticed in the community, right, that it's been, okay, there's loads of jobs that were handled by a bunch of people. And seemingly the same amount of jobs are now being handled by less people. And I guess there's going to be less people, less people, less people, until the plug is pulled and they transition over to something else. So certainly, I think there's a bunch of worry out there from people who actually work with that office. And, I mean, for the player side, yeah, there's a bunch of worry that there will be a bit less representation for the EU players. There has been an ongoing feel that generally EU has played second fiddle to US when it comes to, like, forums and communications and stuff. So maybe that will get worse. If it does, it will be a very bad look indeed. Sticking with Blizz, though, there is just one thing to note here. World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade beta is actually out. I've got it, which is quite funny, because I didn't exactly expect to, because I didn't tell them I was going to do that, but I got it. So there you go. TBC beta, we are expecting pre-patch, I think vaguely soon, and then probably an August-ish launch. And it's just going to be that. It's World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade. You can play it again, which to me is extremely exciting. And if you'd like to learn more about why I'm extremely excited for TBC Classic, check out our Clips channel. We have a whole bunch of clips from extended discussion. So if you want to learn that, there you go. And yeah, TBC hype. It's rising. And pretty awesome. Okay, back to the money pit, because the ink may barely be dry of Microsoft's $7.5 billion purchase of ZeniMax, but the industry rumor mill has already identified what could be their next acquisition target: Discord. And my gut reaction is, oh dear, don't strip away the life from Discord, but that could be what's happening. The acquisition, at least. I mean, who knows what Microsoft would do. This comes from a report from Bloomberg, though, that suggests that Discord are in talks with potential buyers, and that's essentially it. Like, it's private talks. There's a number of potential suitors, and one of them, reportedly, according to the sources, is Microsoft. Now, this could go a few ways. Sources have actually said that they may choose to take Discord public instead, which would mean it would be listed in the stock market instead of being purchased by a private company. Now, as for what this actually means, well, I mean, Discord Nitro as a part of Games Pass, that would kind of make sense. For Microsoft, then, this would get them pretty bonkers user numbers, and for Discord, well, let's just say I've got it in pretty damn good authority that they very much focused on growth only with a sort of monetization later attitude, which in that big Silicon Valley venture capital backed world, that is generally the done thing, right? You focus on growth and then you get all your other stuff sorted out. And it's that sort of thing where if they have struggled to fix the monetization part, then them getting picked up by Microsoft would kind of solve a problem there, because even just having those users, that would be humongous for Microsoft. And Microsoft already are competing with Slack, with Microsoft Teams, and I believe have done so quite successfully during the pandemic. So for them to have a very strong competitor in the professional chat and work application market, and then own the absolute, pretty much undisputed dominant force in gaming communication, Discord, I mean, that would be pretty big. And it's also quite funny because I remember Discord being like, hey, we're Discord, we're here to kill Skype. And of course, Microsoft, the people who ended up buying Skype, right? So that's kind of funny. Now, of course, consolidation here, this could mean great value for users in the short term because Microsoft would want to really beef up their offerings there. You know, you get Discord Nitro for free or whatever with your Game Pass. But in the long term, though, you do wonder, would this mean a Discord that's less free, less innovative? And to many of us, that is worrying because Discord, it just is the platform, I'd say, by which most gaming communication goes on these days. And then you sort of think, well, if Microsoft have just got their all-access video game pass, they've got all of these sort of, dominant positions, and then they're dominant when it comes to, talking to people via the acquisition of Discord, is that too much consolidation? I'd sort of be a bit worried, but I naturally am a bit worried about things like that. Anyway, for now, all I can say is, watch this space. Well, do you get off at the idea of a roadmap? Because if you do, Marvel's Avengers is the situation. Now, there's the thing that is a very bad look that has got a lot of headlines, right? Where they experienced a tiny blip of activity on Steam, thanks to the recent addition of Hawkeye. Now, the good news is that this DLC, which is, I think, the second new character in 6 months, of course, a troubled 6 months for them, it prompted a 5-fold increase in simultaneous players. Yeah, they 5x their player count. Now, the bad news is that in reality, that means the player count moved from 500 to 2,500. And that really is not the best numbers in the world for a humongously expensive live service game, one of the biggest licenses on Earth. So you can see why people have been clowning on it and just sort of saying, oh, throw in the towel, give it up, whatever. Now, that said, this is a patch that, yeah, it's bringing in Hawkeye, but one of the bigger things is that it's bringing this game over to the new, the next-gen consoles, so that is decently big. Now, there's a lot of people saying, hey, if this was Spider-Man and he was very fun to play like he is in the Sony Spider-Man games, then that would have been perfect. But of course, the exclusivity stuff means that can't happen. Now, that said, there is this, right? There is that roadmap. And, as I look at this roadmap, they do have quite a few things, right? There's all these content updates that are leading to the War for Wakanda, sort of big expansion coming out. Now, for a whole bunch of people, that could be really good, and this could be some sort of roadmap, some pathway to success, but how many times have we heard that before? That is the thing that I think has got a lot of people stuck. It's just tricky. I mean, if they put more content in, will the game still end up being a bit shit? That's the issue. Now, when I say a bit shit, it's important that I say there, the gameplay here is surprisingly solid. It really is. They did not do a bad job at all there. The issue that most people have is the missions, the enemies, the progression, the just variety and pizzazz, where it's just about everything reeked of kind of half-baked live servicey jank. Now, this roadmap will have to overcome that. This will need to start feeling like a great experience. And when you've got things like their bad PR with the XP change and the bad PR with this, it certainly is feeding into a big negativity doom story. That said, for dedicated fans of that game, this roadmap is not particularly bad. I mean, if I was really into this game and I looked at this, I would be decently excited. The thing, though, is, would I be silly to be excited? Can I actually, reasonably believe that they will deliver? Who knows? I'll say one thing. Where Anthem quite quickly threw in the towel, these guys haven't. And the developers have been pretty consistent in saying that they want to stick the course and really give it a proper run and a long try. So hopefully they do, because as much as I might be a big cynical person who sees, popcorn movies, or, it sort of acts like a bit of a prick, there's a bunch of people who really like the Avengers, and if they can have a really good game, then that is just good. So hopefully they get it. Okay, time for potential sadness, because a new report from The Gamer has claimed, citing a source, that Sony intend to close the PS3 and PSP online marketplaces over the summer, and that they're going to let us know about it this month. Now, what that would mean is not being able to buy games or DLC on those platforms, and that would actually mean that any software available exclusively through those marketplaces would soon be lost to history, which is quite sad. And that would basically mean you need to already have downloaded stuff or, have physical copies in order to play games on those platforms. Which is kind of sad, because from what I hear, the PS Vita, as much as it had its issues, was a pretty banging little device. But anyway, there's going to be a massive repercussion here for, well, for a few things. I mean, one thing is the modding community, right? There's issues if Sony start to shutter some of the online services there. Sony's validation servers can be shaky at best, but this, that stuff going down could effectively kill gaming experiences. If those servers ever go down, like, outright, that would actually spell the end of digital games in PS3. But if they chose to turn off validation servers on the PS4, that would basically kill all of the games because, well, they all use those validation servers. So there are some worries here that, like, it could just knock out the PS4 if they did this, like, many years down the line, which is obviously terrible for game preservation. And then I saw quotes floating around from Jim Ryan that basically, I'd say, not to jump down his throat, but they, let's just say, didn't instill much confidence in, him placing importance on, game preservation and showing reverence to those things of the past. So that's a little bit worrying. Well, next up, Google are trying again, so if you purchase the upcoming Resident Evil Village via Google Stadia, which I know you're chomping at the bit to do, Google will send you a free Stadia Premier Edition to play on. Yep, so pre-orders and purchases made via Stadia before the 21st of May will be eligible for the promotion while stocks last. Now, this bundle includes a copy of Village, a Stadia controller, and a Chromecast Ultra. Google are promoting this deal as basically everything as they say, everything you'll need to thwart Lady whatever you call her for just the cost of the game. Now in Stadia, that's $60 for the standard, $70 for the deluxe. And it's actually a pretty damn good deal, just the problem is you only own the game in Stadia, and I don't know if that's where many people want to own their games. And of course also it's Stadia, and I'd say Here's the thing. Resident Evil is a series that, dare I say it, the gamers sort of like. And one thing that I've noticed about gamers, this might shock you, is they actually have hardware to play games on. And that kind of means Stadia is irrelevant to them. So once more, Stadia's target market is bloody tiny. But I mean, hey, I got a free Chromecast Ultra from their last promo, so fair enough, I guess. And next up, something that you could take dramatically, but it may not be dramatic, and that is that Cyberpunk 2077's lead gameplay designer has announced he's leaving the company after nearly 8 years there. He filled people in Twitter, which, sparked off some discussion. And it's the sort of thing, right? You always do a big think whenever staff leave a troubled project. You kind of think, oh, is this dramatic? But I'd also say to you that a game coming out is a very natural time for staff to move on, because it's like, mission accomplished. Is my next mission the next game of this company, or is my next mission something else? And if you've risen up the ranks at CD Projekt Red, you've got good industry context, well, maybe you're going to get a few of your mates, try to source some funding, do your own studio, or go to another company. So, look, you could totally read into this, but I basically don't see the point. Anyway, look, we're fairly close to their first update to the game, so that'll be neat enough. I'm in no rush to play it, because seeing the state of things on launch about 2 hours in, I decided to wait. So hopefully good things will come to those who wait. That said, I do have a horse in that race. It's seduction time, but not on Steam, because Valve have refused to sell the FMV pickup artist game Super Seducer 3 on Steam. And this has sparked off an argument with the game's creator, Richard Larunia. Larunia? I'll say Larunia. So he took to Twitter to lament how the game had effectively been banned when, he says from his perspective, he had apparently been led by Valve, sort of led on to expect either approval or feedback. And that was following several resubmissions and reviews from Valve. Now, Valve basically isn't having any of his posturing, though. They issued a statement outlining that they reached an impasse with the developer despite several attempts to sort things out, and that their decision is final. And what they emphasize here is an interesting point of policy, though. It is that Steam, and this is a quote, does not ship sexually explicit images of real people. So that's probably it. Now, I have not played Super Seducer 1 and Super Seducer 2. But if they do have images of that, you know, if 3's got images like that, then you can sort of see why Valve would maybe draw a line there. And this thing actually has sort of happened to him before, but he's not really sort of changed things. The original Super Seducer was actually blocked from sale on the PS4 in 2018, just a few months after Kickstarter actually nixed its crowdfunding campaign. If memory serves, right, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, because normally this would go under the radar and nobody would know, but the Super Seducer games are ones that people know about. They're commonly Let's Played as a kind of a joke thing. They're very sort of meme games that got propelled into the limelight, almost like a sort of a video game B-movie. I mean, I first found out about it via Jim Sterling's sort of, you know, comedic video years ago. And the reason I brought this up is because it's interesting to see Valve define policy in this way, because clearly they are willing to have like proper adult stuff on the platform, but it just seems it's the second that it's actual real people, that's when it's a no-no. Finally, a little bit of rapid fire. So Microsoft have confirmed that their Xbox Network rebrand of Xbox Live that people saw on the like Xbox front-end dashboard is actually not Xbox Live going away. That it is just them trying to differentiate their core sort of free online services and then the paid Xbox Live Gold subscription. And that kind of fed into a longer story from ages ago, well, like a few months ago and over the summer, where people were suspecting that they were maybe going to remove Gold and bundle it into Games Pass or just mess around with that. So basically, it's a name change. It got a whole bunch of headlines and titles and articles. Doesn't actually seem to mean anything, though. And then, perhaps similarly, ZeniMax's board was dissolved following the Microsoft acquisition. Now, the thing is that that's an entirely normal thing to do. And of course, ZeniMax, you know, parent company of Bethesda. Now, a board dissolution there is a standard thing, as I said. What's odd is, like, that board includes, like, CBS's Les Moonves and Jerry Bruckheimer, the, like, film producer man. I don't know why they're involved with games, and honestly, I don't know if this means anything. I did hear some rumblings that there was a negative impact from that board on, you know, some baffling decisions, but it's really hard to verify any of that in a way where it's, like, I think newsworthy enough to be, like, a proper title. And honestly, it just kind of comes off as a pack of kind of sort of crusty old business people who aren't exactly connected to video games majorly. Not to, you know, knock on them too much or anything like that, but that made the rounds. Now you know about it. In terms of analysis, I mean, I kind of doubt that they had much of an impact on the day-to-day operations of the company. But obviously, if some sort of report proves me wrong, we'll dive into that pretty deep. But that is it for today's show. So if you would like to learn some awesome new skills, be it the stuff in Adobe Illustrator that I highlighted today, or other great things like Ali Abdaal and Thomas Frank's various worlds of productivity, Skillshare is the place. That link down below is where you can get a free trial that is double the length of the normal one, and it helps us out a bunch too, which is very appreciated. As is you watching this video, so thank you for that. And with that said, now that we've had our big shot of gaming news, well, I'm going to go back and sort of see when more gaming news happens, and I guess while I'm doing that, you have a nice day. Thanks for watching. See you next time.